Statistics, Unit 3. This is Lesson 1, and it's how are your favorite classes related? Okay, so the first thing we do in class is that we go ahead and I ask everybody what your favorite classes are. If you like math versus English, you have to choose one, and then your favorite elective, art, music, PE, foreign language, technology. And then I go ahead and, of course, we add the data together. So this is the data that I'm going to be using for our example. So the first question asks to do the favorite classes, to do the two-way table. The second one says, how many variables does the table have? And there's two, which is favorite core classes and favorite elective, and they are categorical. Which variable would best explain or predict the other variables? Well, favorite core classes explain the response of my favorite elective. So the first one says, what's the percentage of those who choose a foreign language? Okay, this is to kind of review what we had before when we had our first unit's lesson. So let's go ahead and remind you how to do that. So if you could, it says percentage of those who, percentage of math. So that means the only thing I want in this is math. Choose who choose a foreign language. So that's going to be 1 is foreign language over the math of 14. The next one says, what's the percentage of English? So of English. So just the English who choose the foreign language. And you have 3 out of 16. Okay. The next one was the percentage of math who choose technology. So same thing. So of math. And there's 14 of math, and technology is going to be the 6 out of 14. And same thing, the percentage of math who choose technology this is actually the exact same thing. I think actually this means shouldn't say math, that should obviously say English. The percentage of English who chose technology, and that's going to be 2 out of 16. Okay, let's look at this one here, number 4. So what percentage of math? So percentage of math, again, out of 14, who choose art. So do the same thing, keep going down. Of English, that's going to be out of 16, who choose art. So both of those. The next one, of math, who choose music. Of English, who choose music, same thing. 14 and 16. And then PE, so same idea. Okay, the one thing I want you to make sure that you do is convert them all to a percentage, because the fractions are very difficult to say how they're related. So the percentage is a lot easier, because if it matches, it's a lot easier. Okay, so what I'm going to have you guys do is make a segmented bar graph. So click this. You can click this since you're online. If you click it, you can go ahead and open it. I'm going to not open it right now, but you can make yourself a segmented bar graph, and mine comes up here. So if you're in class, what we did is we used our phones and our computers to go to statsmedic.com, and we chose our app. You have to choose 2 categorical variables, and then you put in all the percentages. And then we have a segmented bar graph. All right, so is there an association between favorite core subject and elective? Well, these are not the same. As you can see, these are definitely not the same. So they're not independent, because they have to be the same to be independent. So therefore, is an association. Meaning, if I ask you, if each room had 100 people, math room and an English room, and I said, I want you to go to the room that you have the highest probability of getting people that like art, then clearly I would go to the English room. So there's an association between the core subject they like of English and also liking art. So if they were independent, so there's not the same, which means there's an association. If they were the same, they would be independent, and there would not be an association, meaning they would all look the same. So let's pretend like this isn't here, and let's pretend like the dark blue stops here, and that this light blue is the same, that there are 2 basically identical, right? And that this orange one is say this is orange, and so forth and so on. Basically, let's just pretend like we absolutely duplicate this here. And I have 2 the same. So it wouldn't matter which room I went into on that first question that I said, go to the room that the most percentage of people like art. And if I had 2 identical graphs, it wouldn't matter. So therefore, you would say, no, it doesn't matter. There's no association whether I go to math or English. This is the same percentage. So that case, it would be no. But in our case, let's erase this because you see that absolutely there is an association because more people that like technology also like math. More people like art also like English. Okay, so the big ideas that I want you guys to understand and remember here is that explanatory variables are your X right here. And it's always on your X axis. You know why? Just use that X. Remind yourself that that's an X. So I always write it like this. I go explanatory to remind myself that's on the X axis. So it helps explain or predict the other variable. Response variable is what I'm predicting, whatever I'm predicting. And it measures the outcome. So the outcome is my prediction. Okay, relative frequency, as you can see on the segmented bar graph, remember, you see that these are not the same. And so if they are not the same, there is an association. Because we're saying, because they're not the same, there's an association between my two categories. An association is knowing the value of one helps you predict the value of another. The percentage is not the same means that there is an association. Make a segmented bar graph to show the relationship between age and behavior of humans. Now, be careful with this because it appears when I look at it, remember, I'm going to look at the graph and I'm going to put this on here and let's look at the percentages first. So I'm just going to color code them. All right, so for juvenile squirrels, I get 33% approaches, so let's versus 29.4%. And so guys, if I'm within 5% of the data, that's pretty good. That's considered about the same. So this one, 41% are indifferent, and this is 48%. Okay, on that one, I'm not as close. So that one I have a problem with. And the next one is 24.5%, and this is 22%, so that one's pretty close. So yeah, these do have some evidence of an association, but there's also, you could see, because these two are really close, not quite the same. These two are not the same, though. These here are really not the same. And these two are pretty close, but not quite the same. So because all of them are not the same, you can see here how they're pretty close, but you see this actually is not the same. And these lines, look, you can see that they're also, so this has a little bit extra. And so this is 7% more, so they're not the same. And because they're not the same, then we're going to be able to say, it says based on, is there an association? And we're saying there is an association because these graphs are not the same. And you're going to say because the behavior percentages are not the same for juvenile as they are for adult. In other words, knowing a squirrel's age helps us predict their behavior. All right, I hope that helped. Thank you very much.